You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Kira Phillips asked him this question here. He lied in his answer. Roland.
Mr. President, thank you so much. 2 questions, if you don't mind, Mr. President. First of all, Kamala Harris, you've been very blunt about how you feel about her mean, nasty, mad woman. Biden now saying...
No, I haven't been blunt. I said she treated Joe Biden worse than anybody else. I watched those debates. They were very boring, but they were debates nevertheless. And I watched, pretty good parts of them. And she treated Biden worse than anybody else by far. There was nobody, including Pocahontas, nobody treated Biden so badly as Kamala.
Well, let me ask you this then. Do you have an issue with a strong woman of color being in this presidential race?
None whatsoever.
You don't see her as a threat?
As you know, none whatsoever. Nope, not at all.
Thank you, Mr. President.
And we know he lying, Dr. Carter. Donald Trump cannot handle black women challenging him.
Well, he doesn't like women, period, but he definitely has a special dislike for black women. We've seen how he's treated Michelle Sindor repeatedly, April Ryan. I mean, he cannot stand it. And we know Kamala Harris does not suffer fools. So if they have a conversation, she will be holding his feet to the fire. He better be lucky she's VP and not president, because he doesn't want to debate her. I mean, the truth is all he has is insults. For people that he cannot control, for people who don't agree with him, for people who dare hold him to any kind of standard or to account. That's all he has, that and his lies. So Donald Trump is, I'm sure, not happy with Kamala Harris. I mean, even the way he says her name and referring to Elizabeth Warren as Pocahontas. I mean, this man is so beneath the threshold, right? The bar is officially underground at this point.
I mean that's just the reality there, Rob. He look, whether it's April Ryan, Yamiche Alcindor, Abby Phillips, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, Congresswoman Frederica Wilson. I mean, his vitriol for black women. I mean, he literally said, "I watch you. You ask stupid questions. You know what you're talking about." I mean, he is nasty and vicious. Especially to women, but definitely to black women.
Oh, absolutely, because black women will call him on his bullshit, and they're not scared of him. So you can tell, by the way, that he was intimidated by Kamala's pick by how Republicans are responding. Like, they say she's phony, then they say she's too tough, then they say she's too conservative. She has a really pro-cop rating. Then they say she's an ultra-liberal. Like, what is she? Like, You're saying she's liberal, she's conservative, she's pro-cop, anti-cop? Like, they knew you can tell by their response that they were shook. They didn't think that Biden was going to make this pick, and it took them by surprise. And how they're attacking shows that they're not ready for the response. So I was happy to see him stunned and a little bit shook. It was fun to watch.
Here's April Ryan on CNN talking about how Donald Trump really he just doesn't like strong black women, Derek.
April, the president said he didn't really see much of it. And so when a reporter basically summed up for him what Kamala Harris had said about the case that she laid out for his lack of leadership, he didn't even really respond to that. Instead, he just pulled that nasty word out of the bag, which he uses with women on a regular basis, specifically any women who he feels do not respect him in the way that he believes he deserves. It's interesting that that's all he's coming with, right? He's just going back to the nasty women and, oh, by the way, I need a white suburban housewife, which is also not really adding up. And that's where we're at.
Personal attacks and race are what this president always falls back on. At the end of the day, this president is limited. They are doing their opposition research on Senator Harris right now, now the running mate to Joe Biden on this Democratic ticket. But once again, as you said, Erica, this president likes to go to the issue of nasty. He called me nasty. Strong black women. Let's go there. Let's not just say strong women, strong black women. Senator Kamala Harris is now in that group. He's going to make more attacks. But when he has nothing to say and when he can't find anything in his limited approach to speak, what he will do is fall back on racism and sexism. So that's what we know. So we can expect that throughout the rest of this campaign, these next 80 plus days until the election.
Derek, agree, disagree?
I think Kamala was a good pick for a couple reasons. One, I mean, everything you do right now, you got to walk around on eggshells because you don't want to be perceived as being sexist or racist or anything, or a xenophobe or anything. So that's the first thing. And plus, yeah, that's the first thing. The second thing is just, as far as with the black women and stuff like that, why is it, if they don't like him, just like somebody don't like me, I ain't gotta like you either. So because if they don't like him,
because
you don't like them.
Derek, first of all, that's one, is not true. There's a difference between, if they're doing their jobs. Here's the deal. There's a difference between somebody saying, I don't like you, and I'm going to be nasty to you. There are people who I've worked with, Derek, who I didn't like, but I wasn't nasty to them. There are people who I worked with.
You don't think they nasty to him? You don't think they're nasty to him?
Asking him questions is being nasty to him?
Yeah, like.
Okay, y'all. It's very one-sided on this show, but it's okay. Look, y'all.
Wait, hold on, Derek, hold on.
There are
Dr. Carter,
there are millions of Americans who don't agree with everything that's on this show. And that's what y'all got to understand. That's why everybody's scrambling so much for this election, because they're scared they're going to lose.
No, actually,
because there are millions of people who don't agree with what you say.
No, Derek. Derek, we're fully aware. Derek, we're fully aware that people disagree. But it is undeniable. No, actually, it's a fact-based show. Dr. Carter is undeniable. It is undeniable that this man he chooses to be nasty with women. He chooses to trash women. And you're right, even when they ask him basic questions, his nastiness comes out because he doesn't like to be challenged by women.
Yes, look, all Yamisha Sindor and Ethel Ryan did was do their jobs covering the White House as part of the press corps. It's not required that anybody in that room like anybody. But I'm asking you a question. I'm doing my job. I'm being a professional, which is what we would hope Donald Trump would be. But he's proven himself time and time again ill-equipped to do so. And all he has is, that's stupid, you're dumb, you're not good at your job. And I think we have to always be cautious about that, particularly with Black women, because that's usually the first thing that people go to when they want to insult you, is they go after your qualifications. They go after your abilities. They say things like, oh, you were affirmative action pick and you're no good, you're stupid, you're dumb, you're less than. And while he may not have said all of that, those are the implications of those things. So just because they don't like him allegedly, or he doesn't like them, doesn't mean he gets to stand up there in his role as president and feel like he's above reproach, that no one can say anything or ask him anything. That's their job. And if he's not prepared for that, then he needs to step aside.
And I would just to make a final point on this, just like James Baldwin said, we can have disagreements on politics, we can have disagreements on things and still be friends, unless, of course, the disagreement is based on my humanity. And for Trump, it's based on our humanity. He doesn't respect women. He does not like Black people. He is racist. That is the problem. This is not opinion-based. We're not having differences in policy talking about cutting taxes or whether you believe in big government, small government. We're talking about our humanity. And that's the problem I have with Donald Trump. He doesn't believe me as a human to be equal. That's why he has to go. That's why he needs to go, period. End of sentence.
One second, hold on. And I want to read this, Derek.
Listen, Rob, I like you, man.
One second. I want to read.
I'm talking about Donald Trump.
No. 1 second. I want to read this here because this is not new. This took place in 1954. This is from the Washington Post. Here we go to my iPad. On the morning of July 7th, 1954, President Dwight D. Eisenhower entered into the Indian Treaty Room in the Executive Office Building, where 165 members of the overwhelmingly white and male press corps were gathered. After briefly congratulating the reporters on the media's efforts to reduce fireworks casualties during the recent 4th of July celebration, the president began to take questions. A UPI reporter asked, would Eisenhower support the admission of Red China to the United Nations? A New York Times correspondent wanted to know, did the pending farm bill meet with the administration's approval? One reporter after another plied the president with predictable questions on politics, policy, and foreign affairs. But Ethel L. Payne had a more pressing issue to address. As the Washington correspondent for the Chicago Defender, the nation's leading black newspaper, she had carefully formulated a question with the assistance of Clarence Mitchell, the chief lobbyist of the NAACP, that reflected the growing hopes of African Americans in the months after the Brown v. Board Supreme Court decision to desegregate schools. Mr. President, she began in her deep voice when Eisenhower called on her. We were very happy last week when the Deputy Attorney General sent a communication to the House Interstate and Foreign Commerce Committee saying that there was a legal basis for passing a law to ban segregation in interstate travel. I would like to know if we could assume that we have administration support in getting action on this. This wasn't the first time she had gotten a crack at the president. Eisenhower began calling on her earlier that spring, a year into her service as a Washington correspondent. Each time, Payne had focused on race, from the exclusion of the Howard University course at a Republican event to Vice President Richard Nixon's comment that every act of racial discrimination or prejudice in the United States hurts America as much as espionage agent who turns over a weapon to a foreign enemy. Now, this day, this is what they say. So far, the president had dispatched her queries with platitudes. Her question on this day hit a nerve. Eisenhower drew himself up into his military posture. You say that you have to have administrative support. He barked. The administration is trying to do what it thinks and believes to be decent and just in the country, and is not in the effort to support any particular or special group of any kind. There were people who were not particularly happy. He was not happy that she asked that question. Prior to her, guess what? This is what it says. Eisenhower had learned his lesson. He stopped calling on Payne. In the coming months, White House Press Secretary James Hagerty explored ways to revoke her accreditation. This is the reality, Derek. Black people in the White House press corps have long challenged presidents. Okay. And these white men have not liked, especially when these black women had the audacity to do their job.
Oh man, I mean, that was a great article. I'm glad you shared it. But I go back to what I stand by what I said, man. You know, if they don't like him, he don't like them. You can feel the tension in the room from when these questions are asked. And sometimes, and it's frustrating because like they'll ask the question, then they'll ask it again. Then they'll ask again and ask it again. So I can understand. I'll be frustrated as hell too sometimes when these people ask me those questions.
Well, last I checked, Dr. Carter, if you call a news conference, you're going to get questions asked at a news conference. That comes with the job. The reality is that he doesn't like being challenged with facts.
And I was going to say, I mean, this is the job. If you ask a question and the person doesn't answer the question, you follow up and you ask it again until you get an answer. And I think when you think about how he's interacted, I mean, some of these questions weren't even anything about policy per se, but things he'd actually said, like about the ventilators, right? That was one of their biggest dust-ups he had with Yamiche Alcindor. She asked him about ventilators, and he was like, you're not being positive. And these are get-you questions. It's like, no, these are questions that are actually vitally important to ask the president, who, by all accounts, is supposed to be the leader of this country and the architect of this pandemic response. And she asked him about the ventilators that he swore were going to be provided, and he didn't like the question. And then he tells her she's not being positive enough. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Dr. Niambe Carr, now you have to go. We surely appreciate it. Thank you so very much. I'm going to do this
guys.
here. Derek, I want you
Have
to...
a good weekend.
Thank you very much. Derek, I want you to answer this. So you talk about, you know, how they don't like him and how the questions are. Here's a basic question. Yamiche Alcindor asked Donald Trump at the White House. I want you and Rob, and we're going to bring on Amisha Cross in a second, and the audience can hear it as well. Just simply show me how this is a nasty question.
Hi, Mr. President. Yamiche Alcindor with PBS NewsHour. On the campaign trail, you called yourself a nationalist. Some people saw that as emboldening white nationalists. Now people are also saying
I don't know why you'd
that
say
the
that.
president.
That's such a racist
There
question.
are some people that say that now the Republican Party is seen as supporting white nationalists
Oh, I
because
don't
of your
believe
rhetoric.
that. I don't
What do
believe
you make
that.
of that?
I don't believe it. I don't know. Why do I have my highest poll numbers ever with African Americans? Why do I have among the highest poll numbers with African Americans? I mean, why do I have my highest poll numbers? That's such a racist question. Honestly, I mean, I know you have it written down and you're going to tell me. Let me tell you, it's a racist question.
And Mr. President, I
love
ask,
it. You know what the word is? I love our country. I do. You have nationalists, you have globalists. I also love the world. And I don't mind helping the world, but we have to straighten out our country first. We have a lot of problems.
And
Excuse me, but to say that, what you said, is so insulting to me. It's a very terrible thing that you said.
And Mr.
Okay, please, go ahead.
Mr. President,
Go ahead.
people have you
Go
talked
ahead.
about
Excuse me.
middle class tax cuts on the campaign trail. How will you get Democrats to support that policy? Or
You have to ask them.
Well,
Hey,
what's your plan for
excuse
working with
me. You know
Democrats
what
on a
my
middle
plan
class
is?
tax plan?
You know what my plan is? I'll ask them. And if they say yes, I'm all for it. And if they say no, there's nothing you can do because you need their votes. Go ahead.
Derek, was that a nasty question? Was she nasty with him?
Yeah, hell yeah. In my opinion, it was. I answered it the same way.
She was nasty to him in that question.
I answered that question the same way. What is this white nationalist thing? She was trying to imply that he was racist. With that question, she was trying to imply, Mr. President, you're racist. And he was defending himself. That's what I took from it.
Okay, here's the deal.
Wow.
We're going to bring in Amisha Cross here again because I want to play this one because again, this is what happens when you ask very basic questions to this guy, and for some reason he is just unwilling to answer those questions. Let me see if I can play this video here. So let's see if is this nasty. I mean,
our biggest fear is not the other teams.
Hold on one second. We're going to pull up. Let this. I think we're going to have it in a second. So when the video comes up, Henry, you should be able to play it. And again, these are basic, fundamental questions that journalists ask politicians. But when he gets questioned by black women, ooh, that just really sets him off. Here's Yamiche Alcindor, again, asking a question. I think it's ready.
My first question is, you said that you don't take responsibility, but you did disband the White House Pandemic Office, and the officials that were working in that office left this administration abruptly. So what responsibility do you take to that? And the officials that worked in that office said that the White House lost valuable time because that office wasn't disbanded. What do you make of that?
Well, I just think it's a nasty question because what we've done is, and Tony has said numerous times that we've saved thousands of lives because of the quick closing. And when you say me, I didn't do it. We have a group of people. I could ask perhaps my administration, but I could perhaps ask Tony about that because I don't know anything about it. I mean, you say we did that. I don't know anything about it.
You don't know about the reorganization that happened at the National Security
It's the administration.
Council.
Perhaps they do that. You know, people let people go. You used to be with a different newspaper than you are now. You know, things like that happen.
But this was
Please go ahead. We're doing a great job. Let me tell you, these professionals behind me and these great, incredible doctors and business people, the best in the world, and I can say that, whether it's retailers or labs or anything you want to say, these are the best in the world. We're doing a great job.
The great Yamiche Alcindor from PBS NewsHour.
So, was that a nasty question, Derek?
That was not a nasty question. No, I can't say that was a nasty question.
Oh, okay. We got some reasonable. That wasn't nasty.
Amish Cross, you're on. This is, again, Amish, the reality is that this guy, his vitriol when black women are challenging him is different than anybody else.
And you hit the nail on the head, Roland. There is a fierce attitude and a composure that changes precipitously when Donald Trump is questioned by African-American females. There is a very strong hate, angst, and a legit bothersome spirit that he gets when a successful Black woman is ready to approach him with a question that isn't even aggressive. She's not asking him anything that reporters across the country should not be asking him. Yamiche has done her research. The Black reporters who have made it to this level to even be able to question the president of the United States, no matter who it is, have worked their tail off to be able to get one of those coveted positions. To ask questions that the American public needs to hear does not make you a nasty woman or a nasty person. This is a common trope that President Trump uses because he, quite frankly, does not respect Black women, and he does not respect the professionalism that it takes to be a journalist. But moreover, President Trump is threatened majorly by successful women of color, specifically Black women, who he devalues time and time again.
Here's one more. Here's one more. Watch this.
What about Christine
One
Walker
second.
from NBC?
One second. Watch this. Go.
Let me just tell you something. I know you always have a question. You mean my White House aides lied? What about his aides? What about Mueller's aides? He didn't say that at all. You're untruthful when you ask. You are untruthful when you ask that question. When you ask that question, you're untruthful. And you know who else is untruthful? You know who else is untruthful? His aides. And Weissman was untruthful. And Weissman got caught just like he did with Arthur Anderson, where he lost in the Supreme Court 9-0. His aides were very untruthful. And they put Mueller, not at all. They put Mueller in a very bad position. His aides put him in a very bad position. And if you were ever truthful, you'd be able to write the truth.
Was she being nasty?
Well, I'll just say this, Roland. A hit dog will holler. You know what's going on with Trump based upon what he says. So when he says somebody is nasty, he's the one being nasty. When he calls someone a racist, it's because he's being racist. I find it so fascinating when people, when racists do racist things and say racist things, they're not offended by the racist behavior. They're offended when someone calls them out on the behavior and calls them racist. I want them to be more offended with racism than they are with being called a racist. And so hit dog or holler. He's just that's just who he is.
And on that particular point, I just want to again just here's one that I want to play for you. That again, just so people understand what you're dealing with when you talk about an extremely childish individual who is in the White House, how he responds, how he cannot handle being challenged or being questioned, which is also why the man has no business ever being in the office again. Let's see what this one here is.
Whitaker, I don't know Matt Whitaker. Matt Whitaker worked for Jeff Sessions, and he was always extremely highly thought of, and he still is. But I didn't know Matt Whitaker.
Do you expect Matt Whitaker to be involved in the Russia probe? Do you want him to?
It's up to him.
Do you want him to rein in Robert Mueller?
What a stupid question that is. What a stupid question. But I watch you a lot. You ask a lot of stupid questions. I think Jim Acosta is a very unprofessional.
She just asked a very basic question. He attacks her. What a stupid question. I watch you ask a lot of stupid questions. That's what he said to Abby Phillips, black White House correspondent for CNN.
It's a common retort, Roland. It's a common retort for a president who refuses to answer questions. He assumes.
No. It's a common retort for this one. I can't recall hearing Obama, Bush, Clinton, H.W. Bush, Reagan, Carter, Ford. I don't recall them saying, "What a stupid question." And I watch you and you ask stupid questions.
Is authoritarianism. This president does not believe he has to answer to, or he has to respect, or he has to even be questioned by the press unless the press is friendly towards him, and it's a press that he has already positioned the questions to. So he loves his One American News. He loves his Fox News most of the time, but he knows that when he is encountering people like Yamiche, when he is encountering any African-American journalist, to be honest, things start to get a little bit more tricky for him, and he's not prepared for that. And he already disrespects Black women and has never respected them. So this just gives him another opportunity to dig in his heels for questions he doesn't want to answer anyway.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have, you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.